Hey everyone, it's almost Christmas time, so maybe you're looking for some gifts for your content creator or photographer, friends, or maybe even for yourself. So here I got 20 gift ideas for you, and no worries, this camera is not part of it. We're not going that expensive here. We're staying relatively affordable with most of those products. Actually, most are below $100. And by the way, you will find links to all the products that I mentioned here in the description below. These are affiliate links, so I get around 5% commission, but you don't pay anything more. So if you find this video helpful and you want to support this channel, then use those links. It's definitely the cheapest way to support me. So I would say let's get right into it. So my first gift idea is not directly a photography tool. These are those Mac notes here, essentially sticky notes, but you can really attach them everywhere. Like, you don't need a whiteboard or anything for it. You can just attach them to your walls, to your windows, literally everything. They just stick, and they don't use tape or anything. They work statically. I don't really know how that works. So you can easily remove them without any marks to your walls or so. And why this is good for content creators is that, especially if you sometimes make videos where you filmed over a long period of time and then you have to really sort all the footage, then you can easily use them to visualize what you have and to build a story structure, etc. out of it. I've been using them quite a lot whenever I made such videos over the past few years, and they're also quite affordable. I think this one here was like $2 or $3 here in Thailand at least. Here they are called Mac notes. Maybe they are called differently in your country. I would just Google for magnetic note or static note and you will find whatever is available for you. Anyway, let's come to the next one, which is this one here, the Peak Design mobile tripod. What that does is it attaches to the back of your iPhone. I'm not sure if other phones too, but like, it's magnetically. And as you can see, I can like easily set my iPhone up here with that tripod, not only vertically, but also horizontally. And so I can quickly shoot a time lapse, or if you're a friend or yourself, you're vloggers, for example, then you can also easily film yourself with that. But it does make the phone a bit heavier, which is important because you don't want it to fall over, but you don't really recognize it in your pocket because it's so flat. It comes in at $72, so it's not ultra cheap, but considering that it lasts probably a lifetime, like I use it already for 2 years, I think it's perfectly worth paying for it. You're definitely paying for quality here. And next up are camera clips and quick release plates. Camera clips here are those little things here that you attach to your belt or to your backpack strap or whatever. Also this Pro Pad here from Peak Design, and then you can easily attach your camera to it and carry it easily. So those also make great gifts. The Peak Design here is also $72. The PJ Whitec one comes in at around $50, and I absolutely love those capture clips. Like, whenever I travel and I want to quickly put my camera somewhere but I don't have anything, then it's always perfect to either have it at my belt or at least on my backpack strap. So they make for great gifts, and they usually come together with those quick release plates here, which you put under your camera. So when you buy such a kit, look that it's either included, or if not, then you would have to buy one extra that's compatible with the clip that you buy. I made a guide recently for those quick release plates and all the accessories that you can use them with. I will just link that here in the corner and also in the description below. So there you see what you should buy depending on what's available in your area. And also compatible with those quick release plates is the PJ Whitec Mantis Pod, this little tripod here, which is my favorite table tripod because you can just quickly set it up like that, but it also folds out like that here, so you can quickly attach it anywhere outside, really, like a fence, a car window, or whatever, like whatever comes into your mind. That makes it quite flexible, and it doesn't collapse as quickly as those Gorilla Pods do. Like, it doesn't collapse at all because it doesn't have this Gorilla Pod structure on the legs. So I've been absolutely digging those Mantis Pods over the past few years, and considering that this one here, the Mantis Pod 2.0, is only $60, that also makes up for a great gift. And next up is this little necklace here from PJ Whitec. Now that's for your phone. How it works is basically that you attach it around your neck, and then, similar to the little tripod I showed you before, you can attach your phone magnetically here, and then you have a perfect perspective on your hands. Like, of course, it's not a tool for everyone, but especially if your friend or you are content creators and you sometimes want to film what you're doing with your hands, like maybe you do a camera tutorial or anything really, like cooking or whatever, then this easily gives you a kind of POV perspective quite easily. And considering how good the video quality of today's iPhones especially is, that is actually really nice to have this little angle. It's also not that expensive. I think it comes in around $25, so that's definitely a great present if your friend wants to capture different angles with their phones. And let's come to the more professional side of videography especially, which is ND filters. Now, if you don't know, ND filters essentially allows the photographer or videographer to lower the shutter speed, which essentially means that you get more motion blur in your shots. And that's especially important for videography because when I shake my hands now, for example, you want to see motion blur here, otherwise my hand would look super sharp. And so this ultimately gives you a more natural look. But even for photography, you can use ND filters to, for example, soften water on a waterfall. So you probably saw such photos before, and they always look a bit more beautiful than having this rough, sharp-looking water on there. Anyway, the specific ND filters I want to recommend here in my gift guide is the new Freewell ultra thin hybrid VND CPL. That's a pretty long name, yeah. And the reason why I like this filter really is that it's pretty snug with your lens here, like it doesn't stand much above the edge of your lens. And of course, it's also quite slim. It also looks quite nice here, like the black parts go over the edge. So you also don't get much vignetting with those filters. And they are magnetic, so you can attach a glow mist filter, for example, like other filters for other effects on top of that, which makes them quite useful. And like at least the base filter comes in at just below $100. You have to pay a bit more if you want to stack other filters on top. But if you want to go a bit cheaper, what I recommend is that Hader VND CPL filter here, what essentially does the same, but it's not magnetic, so you can't stick it with other filters. It's currently, I saw it at $89, but I think I've seen it cheaper in the past, like $79 or so. So definitely look a bit around if you can find some good deals on this filter here. I tested this filter here in my filter guide about a year ago and noticed that there's almost no color shift on this filter. I did not test the Freewell filter for color shifts, but in all the shots that I got over the recent months that I've been using it, I couldn't notice any significant color shifts, so I guess it's fine. But yeah, like this filter actually performed really well, and considering how cheap it is, that also makes for a great gift. So let's come to the next product, and I just noticed I forgot to turn it on, which is a small light. It's that one here, the K&F light L01. It doesn't honestly really matter. Now, the reason why I think every video creator and maybe even photographers should have such a small light or even multiple of those is because you can easily put it somewhere in the background or so to just make the background a bit more interesting. Or you can sometimes also use it to just bounce a bit of light back from a wall, a white wall somewhere. So the shadow side of a face, for example, becomes a bit more lit up, a bit brighter, because sometimes it can be a bit too harsh. So there are actually lots of use cases for those lights. And the reason why I got the K&F one here is because it's pretty light and it comes with this culture adapter here, so I can mount it on top of my camera. So whenever I need a bit more light on my subject, for example, when I film in the night during herping tours, for example, and I want to put a bit more light on whatever I see there, and I also want to have a bit of diffusion in there, then this is actually pretty nice, and it's also quite affordable at just around $33. So there's really no reason not to get it. But again, it mustn't necessarily be this specific light here. Lots of companies have similarly small lights, so just look around what's available in your area if you can't order it online, and pretty much every small light will work for that. The way how I actually want to use this light now, and what I forgot before, is on my wall, just like that. Makes the wall look so much nicer, right? Should have thought about that before, but at least now you can see the difference directly, how it was before and how it is now. And talking about lights, there's also this little small rig RF10C light, which comes in at $70. And this is quite special because what it does is essentially the same as what you see here on the wall, where you see this little pattern there. It makes it kind of look like there would be a sunset around my window. Yeah, I could probably make that a bit more realistic, but you know what I mean. And how that works is simply you turn it on and then you press the button. Now you can see how that works here. You can also make it a bit smaller by just pulling it out. And there you get a pretty similar effect. So it's a pretty cool light to get such effects, but there's one little issue with this light, which is that after about 20 to 30 minutes, it tends to overheat. Depends a bit on how bright you make it. And that's why I use a professional projector light here to generate this effect on my wall. So this one here is not good if you want to talk into a camera for extended periods of times and want to have such a pattern in your background. But whenever you shoot a bit shorter, let's say for short form content, or to have certain effects when you shoot short films for a little scene or so, then this actually comes really handy because it's small, it's light, it's affordable, and you can quickly get such patterns on your wall. And next up are those small rig suction cups here, which I recently also made a video about with my car. Like, this allow you to attach your camera essentially to your car or to any window or so, like generally any flat surface, and that makes it possible sometimes to get camera angles that you wouldn't get otherwise. And those suction cups here, depending on the size, are just between $50 and $70. And now, when I got those cups initially, I was a bit worried that, especially for like heavier setups that are around 1 to 1.5 kilos, that they might not hold it perfectly, but I was wrong. Like, at least inside my car, I used camera setups that were around 1 kilo, maybe even a little bit more, and it worked perfectly just with one arm. Of course, outside the car, I would prefer multiple arms just to be absolutely safe. With inside the car, if my camera falls down, it's not as much of an issue. Well, it's a seat there, right? But yeah, I think this makes for a great gift because it opens so many opportunities to get different kinds of shots, both in your car, but also even at home when you attach it to windows or so. So you can be really creative with it. And also a pretty creative tool is this little camera dolly here. This one here is from Sandmark and made for iPhones, but I've been also using it with smaller camera setups such as the Canon R8 with the 35mm f1.4 camera, but also that little Fujifilm here, etc. They work great for it. Now, this dolly here is already a bit more expensive than others at around $89. You can also find some that are a lot cheaper than that, but it's still a lot less money than buying a whole camera slider, and as you can see, you can do exactly the same with it. It does even allow you to adjust the angle here, so if you want to drive in circles around a subject, you can easily do that here. That comes especially handy for content creators that do a lot of product reviews, because then whenever you want to get some shots of the product, and especially if you're not that good with your hands, if you might cause a bit too much shake, then you can like easily get some shots of that just by using this dolly here. So also a great gift. Again, if you want something cheaper than this $89 Sandmark one here, then just type in camera dolly or smartphone dolly or so on Amazon, and you will find plenty of those. And a really important tool when it comes to time efficiency as a video creator is a teleprompter. That's the one that I've been using here for many years, the DeskView D3. Just open that, you can mount your phone in here, and this is quite nice. Like, when you use it with your phone, there is an app called Prompt Smart Plus, which is a small subscription, I think $8 or $9 per month. And this app is really cool because it recognizes your voice and automatically scrolls the script by using AI, and it actually works really good. So it's like you don't have to stick to the pace of the scrolling speed of your script whenever you use a teleprompter, then it automatically scrolls for you. And that allows you to talk a lot more realistic, like a more realistic speed or pacing. And yeah, this teleprompter here is nice because it's quite lightweight. It works with all lenses I ever used. Like, you have those adapter rings here. So yeah, you can use it with pretty much every camera setup, both full frame and APS-C. So much about the teleprompter. Next up is that microphone here. Oh, that's a bit loud. This microphone here, the Shure MV7 Plus. Now, it's not necessarily a microphone that I would use to speak freely to your camera like I'm doing right now. For that, I use the Shure MKE 600, I think it is. And the reason is simply that you have to be really that close with your mouse to this microphone to be able to talk, so it's always a bit annoying to have the microphone directly in front of your face. But what this is great for is whenever you want to record voiceovers for your videos on your computer, because the advantage of being so close to your microphone is that it rejects a lot of background noise and room tone, what sounds a lot better, so people can focus more on your voice, and that makes it especially useful for voiceovers, but also for whenever you do screen recordings, for example. Like, I just started a new business where I publish a WordPress plugin, and now over the next few weeks and months, I will have to publish lots of YouTube tutorials for this plugin. And there I will use this microphone all the time just because the voice quality is so good. And with this microphone, you will hear even less room tone than you do with my Sennheiser here, just because it's closer to my mouth. So I think if you don't have such a microphone yet, and your friend or you do record lots of voiceovers or so, or screen shares, then this is actually a microphone to look into. It comes in at around $270, so it's not precisely cheap anymore, but considering how easy it is to use with that USB-C connector here, and how good the quality from this microphone is, I think it's perfectly worth paying this price for this microphone. Anyway, let's now come to software. If there's one plugin that I feel like I've been using forever, then this is Cinematch, which is made from the same company as Film Convert. Now, essentially what Cinematch does is it converts the colors from one camera to the colors from another camera, to put it simply. So where Cinematch helps is essentially if you have lots of different cameras and drones, maybe also action cameras, etc., and you want all the footage to look somewhat similar, then it actually does a great job there. So of course it's not always perfect, but I find it oftentimes a lot easier and better than just using LUTs, for example, in Final Cut Pro to convert my log footage to normal looking colors, etc. And it does go a bit beyond that. Like in Final Cut Pro, I use Cinematch to color manage all my footage, because there I can also easily change the exposure, the white balance, the saturation, etc. And I find that to work a lot better with Cinematch than it does in native Final Cut oftentimes, because, for example, it is a lot harder, almost impossible, to clip your shadows and highlights with Cinematch, because it just compresses shadows and highlights whenever you change the exposure, etc. So this is actually a tool that, since I switched back from Resolve to Final Cut for most of my videos, again, that I use all the time for color grading, and I can't live without it. And even before, over all the years, I've been using this tool a lot. It comes in for just one video editing app at $99. And if you want to purchase a license for all three, like Premiere Pro, Final Cut, and DaVinci Resolve, it's $149. So I think this also makes up for a great Christmas present, especially because your friend will likely use it for such a long time. But if you or your friend are not that much into color grading, so Cinematch might not be that interesting for you, then other plugins that you should look into if you want to gift software, then it would be Motion VFX, in my opinion, because their plugins also last forever. Like, there are plugins that I already purchased, I think back in 2018 or maybe even earlier, and I still use some of their plugins, especially the AmpTuber plugins today. But also when it comes to all the other plugins for like title animations, etc., they are just beautiful and they work forever because they regularly update all their plugins, and the updates automatically install with their M-Installer plugin. So I can't recommend them enough. They're not the cheapest plugins out there, and some of them recently are more subscription based, which I would also prefer if they would offer more of their newer plugins now with lifetime purchases. But well, just look in there. There are still lots of plugins where you only have to pay once, and they are oftentimes also below $100. So you will definitely find something there that you like. Next up, let's come to storage. Now, there's one thing I want to tell you in case you haven't heard about it yet, and that is especially if you edit off all the computers that have an internal HDD drive, or you even use an external HDD, which are those drives that are usually a bit cheaper but also bigger, and your editing performance feels slow, then it is most likely not the computer's fault actually, but the drive that you're editing off. And in that case, you definitely want to switch to SSD drives, either an external one like this one here, or a newer computer that has an SSD inside, because the SSDs have a lot faster read and write speeds, and those are important when it comes to video editing, which means that even if you have a small external SSD drive like that one here, you can actually edit right off of the drive without copying any files. And now the SSD drives that I've been using for a pretty long time are those SanDisk ones here, because you can already get them for less than $100 when it comes to 1 terabyte. To be transparent, I always use at least 2 terabytes, but recently more like 4 terabytes already, because I just shoot so much video footage, and sometimes even 8K or so, and I just need bigger drives. But even if you just buy the 1 terabyte version as a gift, it's usually enough to work on about 5 to 10 projects at the same time in 4K. So that's usually enough, and even makes the 1 terabyte drives a pretty nice gift. Now, of course, you also have to power all your devices and charge your cameras, etc. And there are actually pretty nice gifts right now. The Ugreen Nexode Pro chargers. I got the 160 watt charger here for like when I'm on the go and I have to charge a few devices more. And also the 100 watt charger here, which you can see is already pretty small and quite light. And this is actually the one that I use the most. It just this costs $60 because especially in cafes I usually have vertical plugs, and those smaller chargers here just are a lot more likely to stay in compared to the heavy ones here. So yeah, I've been bringing this plug all the time. It also takes up less space in my bag and it's working beautifully. And this 160 watt charger here is as mentioned before is great whenever I travel and I need to like charge my drone, my cameras and power my MacBook at the same time, because there are 3 USB-C connectors and 1 USB type A. And it also has 160 watts, so there's a lot more power to power all the devices. And this one here is also not super expensive for what it is. It comes at $95, which I think for such a powerful charger is actually a good price. And if you're curious, the 100 watts charger here comes with only 2 USB type C and 1 USB type A ports, which still, like, for my usual day is plenty. I don't really need more. So yeah, perfect for cafes, perfect for travel, and both make up for great gifts. And something else that will definitely make your friend happy is lenses. Of course, lenses can get quite expensive, which is why as a gift I would actually recommend those Viltrox Air lenses here especially a lot, because all lenses from that airline from Viltrox come at below $200 and they are available for both full frame and APS-C cameras. So for full frame, the ones that I would recommend the most are the 50mm f2 and the 20mm f2.8 lenses. So 20mm is already good for vlogging, a bit wider. 50mm great for general photography and videography and also portraits. And for APS-C, my most recommended ones are actually this one here, the 56mm 1.7, which gives you a ton of background blur. It's really beautiful. And also the 15mm if you want to have something wider to film yourself especially. And there's also the 25mm, which is really nice for general use. They're all f1.7. What is important because that makes them a bit better for low light and also gives you more background blur. And generally those air lenses here are of really great optical quality. Like, they are sharp, the chromatic aberrations are relatively low, and they also have a pretty clean look overall. That's why, despite having the super small size and being really lightweight and cheap, these are still lenses that actually allow for really great photos and videos. And so your friend will definitely be happy with it. And if you're willing to spend a bit more money on a lens, then the Viltrox Pro line lenses is what I can recommend a lot. This one here especially, that's a 27mm f1.2 for Fujifilm. They're also available for Sony and I think also Nikon, etc. Like, the shots that you get with this lens look so good. I can't recommend it enough. It's actually my favorite APS-C lens. So yeah, if you're looking for absolutely beautiful lenses with great quality that are either below $600, then definitely look into the Pro line lenses from Viltrox. And if that's too expensive as a gift, then the airline lenses for less than $200. I can recommend both lenses a lot. But we're almost finished. Let's come to something cheaper now, which is that here, diffusers and reflectors. Now, if you don't know how to use them, like, diffusers generally make your light softer. So especially if you're outside, for example, you oftentimes have harsh sunlight and throws really harsh shadows, which doesn't look that nice. In that case, you can simply, for example, use a diffuser here. Just that I don't want to unfold it now. And then your light will become more soft. I also use a diffuser here right now, which is why my face should look pretty good. And also there are reflectors, which is like essentially what I have here. And this is great to like bounce light back onto your subject. So if the shadow side, for example, looks a bit too dark sometimes, then you can use those. And like, just reflectors are usually quite cheap at $20 to $40 around, but you can also get them as sets with stands, which is more like in the direction of $80 to $100. And that's why I would say they actually make up for great gifts, because especially if your friend or you are more in the beginning of your photography yet, and you haven't played around with diffusers and reflectors yet, then this is actually something that you should really try out and that you will see quickly make your images or videos look a lot better. So yeah, if you don't have one yet, definitely that's a great gift, because they are cheap and they actually make a big difference. Oh, my voice dies, but we're almost finished. 2 more things here. One that I'm really digging right now is the Osmo Nano from DJI, which is essentially like a pocket action camera. And now there are similar ones from Insta360, especially the Insta360 Go series. So it's not completely new, but what DJI does here differently is that they give you just better video quality and photo quality as well, because the sensor is a bit better, but also you get 10-bit D-Log, what essentially means that you can match the footage a lot better with bigger cameras. Like, if you do it good, then it's almost impossible to see the difference for certain shots at least. And that's why I find that so powerful. You can use it both for personal life easily, but also for professional stuff. Because when I shoot a tutorial, for example, I can just keep that rolling while I do something with my camera, and I instantly have another camera angle that I can use at any time to make my videos more interesting. That's of course not just for camera stuff like when I shoot tutorials or so, but let's say you have any other channel where you publish tutorials or you do something with your hands, then this is really powerful. And not just that, it also comes with that little suction cup here. So you can also quickly attach that to your car or anything else really that has a flat surface. So it's also quite flexible when it comes to mounting options. And of course, because it's so small, you can also put that inside anywhere to quickly capture different camera angles. It comes at $300 or $330 for the 128GB version, which, yeah, it's not super cheap for a gift, but, well, if you're willing to spend that money for your partner or yourself, then this is definitely something to look into. I think the Osmo Nano is actually one of the best content creation tools that has come out in 2025. So we're almost there. The last product is a special one. This is really if you love your partner a lot and you want to ensure that he never betrays you. That is the Fujifilm X-M5. Yeah, it's definitely a bit more expensive at $899 body only, or $999 with the kit lens. But considering what this camera can do, like it can shoot in 10-bit f-log2, it can shoot 6K open gate. The video quality looks fantastic from that little thing. Like I've actually shot this camera side by side with a $6,500 Sony A9 Mark III, and people in the comment section watching this video actually thought that the shots from this camera would be the Sony A9 Mark III, and there was actually not a single exception to that, because the quality of this camera is just so good, and it is also really fun to use for like photography when you travel and stuff. Like I think this is definitely one of the nicest presents you can make for your partner, and it also pairs pretty well with those Viltrox Air lenses here, because again, lightweight and good looking. So yeah, these are all the gift ideas that I have this year for you, but maybe you also have some really special ones. If yes, then let us know in the comment section. And next week, I'm also going to publish my new camera buying guide for the foreseeable future, like for the next 12 months. So make sure to subscribe for that. And if you use DaVinci Resolve, then you might also want to check out this video here in the corner for more ideas when it comes to plugins. So yeah, check out this video as well. I'm out, and I hope to see you in the next one.